patience.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Because
no
you could have
problem.
easily got irritated. So you know what? Let's just do this another time. So I, I really appreciate you. So let's go ahead and get to these questions. And I want to ask the first thing I want to ask is who is Princess Judah?
Well, Princess Judah, that's just one of my screen names. My name is Shelita, but I use Princess Judah for since the internet kind of started out. That was one of the first screen names that I came up with. But I am currently a social worker, and I have a nonprofit organization where I want to help the community, just with different things. But yeah, that's who I am.
All right. So if let's say we just meeting today, right?
Hmm.
I never met you. What is it that you would like for a person to know besides just that, like, who are you, like, as an individual, as a person, right? And I know we can't just put that and one because there's multiple things. Like, but what would you say to a person who just met you today?
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
for example, I'm a motivational speaker, right? I love to inspire people. My thing is to inspire people to make their dreams a reality. Like
mhm.
as far as that line. So
Oh, okay. I see. I see. Yeah. Well, I am a social worker, but even in my private life, I do still stay on the social work side of things where I try to help people with just different things, help people understand basic things like resume writing and career advancement, and just understanding that they need to have hope in themselves. And I guess the same motivational speaker, but I'm not an official motivational speaker. But I just want to help our community grow and we all get on the same page as far as being able to maneuver in this society. So, that's what I try to do, teach the young and those who may not know, you know, that they can do it, that, you don't have to commit crimes. You don't have to, try to look for the fast buck. There's a way to earn a decent dollar, and there's a way to earn money for yourself as well, which is something that we're not really taught. So I feel like I'm rambling, but yeah.
no, you're not rambling. And I want to say this is you are an official speaker. You are a community speaker, right? I met you in person. So I know like your heart, like you're genuine. It's not
Mhm.
about just getting a fast buck. So you are official speaker. We
Mhm.
not focusing on numbers and titles. No, you are official speaker, right? So another thing that I wanted to ask you was where you from? Um,
Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia originally, yeah, but now I live in Richmond, Virginia.
okay. Welcome, welcome. How long you been in Richmond? If you
Since
don't mind me
2000.
asking.
Well, I started off in Westmoreland County, actually, down near Tappahannock, where my grandfather, he lived in the country. So I started there in 2009, and then about 2011, I moved up to the Richmond area and I found a job as a paralegal.
Okay. Do you like it in Richmond?
I do. It's much better than Philadelphia. You still get the feel of a city, with a little less attitude and more friendliness and more cleanliness. So yeah, Richmond is definitely, I enjoy it.
So what was like your reason for coming to Richmond?
To help my grandfather, he's actually, this is where like our people were enslaved at. So he was the first one to like leave and relocate to Pennsylvania. Um, I was actually able to trace my last name, which my last name, my maiden last name is Gaskins, and a lot of people know Gaskins Road. So I traced that back to some colonel or something he was in the army who lived in Westmoreland County. So you can basically put those two together and say like that was the people who owned my family. But that's where my grandfather lived. It was Westmoreland County, and he was elderly, so I just kind of went down there to help him out. Then I didn't realize the country life is so far to find a job. So just driving those 2 hours was a little difficult for me to get back and forth from there to Henrico. So I ended up moving up to Richmond, and that's how I got here.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you was taking care of your grandfather.
Started
That's
out that way.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's what's up. I took care of my grandmother before she passed. So when I hear people talk about taking care of the elders, that touches my heart. You know,
Mhm.
I'm kind of tearing up, but that's such a dope thing. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, how did you get into serving the community?
Well, really quickly, just because this is on the record, I did want to clear up that I wasn't taking care of him just because he was old and dying. He was just getting older anyway and kind of needed some help. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it wasn't compatible, so someone else had to come in to help him, and I did because I had small children I had to take care of,
That's
and
what.
so I did want to clear that up. So I was not able to stick the whole way through. So yeah. But to answer your other question, how did I get into social services?
Mhm. Well, just not just social services, and we could talk about that as well. We could get into that as well. But I'm talking about like your community work, right?
Oh,
When we linked up and we went to Southside Plaza and we cleaned up, like what sparked that idea? What gave you that thought? When did you actually start doing that?
yeah. Well, that was actually my first time, but I had thought about it. Well, basically, what gave me the idea is that I come from the lowest class in society in Philadelphia. You know, I was poor, parents addicted to drugs, whatever. So you know how that is. And I just had to kind of find my way at age 16. You know, trying to find my way as if I was an adult, and it took me a long time using several programs like welfare and Section 8. And eventually I knew that I had to do something, and I just kind of figured it out. But it took me like 10 years to end up going to college, getting a associate's degree, and get my bachelor's in criminal justice, and then working in a law firm as a paralegal, and then eventually working um, as a social worker, case manager. It's like in that process in the beginning, I didn't think that I would be able to ever do like what I'm doing now. Like stuff like this was a big deal. You know, just being a front desk receptionist was such a big deal, you know, because we're surrounded by um, such poverty and lack of go getters, I guess, for lack of a better term, that you don't see certain jobs, or you know what I mean? So basically, what I'm trying to say is, I hopefully you're going to edit this good so that
No, you
it'll
good.
have me fumbling
You
and
doing
stuff.
a great job. You doing a
Okay.
great job. And we here at the ATPC Powerful Positive Talk, everything is organic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We all humans. I get tongue tied sometimes. That's what I call
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
so or tongue twisted, and that's okay, right? But you're doing a wonderful job, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So keep
Okay.
speaking your pieces.
Yeah. So, just going through that struggle, and it took me 10 years to do what really could have been done in 4 or less. And I'm like, well, I know people have it worse than me. I'm looking around. There's like millions of people across this country in Black America that is like me, you know, and all they need is some information, and that information to give is free. Like, all they need to know is like, hey, you can go to college and you don't always have to pay it up front. You can get a loan. You can get a Pell Grant. Like when I got my Pell Grant, I was so green. I didn't know anything. When I got that refund check, it was like $1,200 from the Pell Grant. I called them to make sure that I can keep it because I didn't know what this was for, or was I allowed to keep it, or I didn't know any of this, you know. So things like that, just not being prepared and having the knowledge, it just makes things a lot harder. And if you don't have the tenacity that I did to continue on, you would give up. And a lot of people did or do give up because it's just too complicated to figure out this from how you're going to do that. So I just stuck with it. But my organization is here to literally hold people's hands and walk them through the process. Those who want it. There's so many diamonds out here in the rough called our community. Unfortunately, it's the rough. But there's so many diamonds out there that will never be able to rise to their full potential because no one gave them hope, or they tried a thing and they wasn't able to do it once, or they lost their way along the way, and then they gave up. But you know, I wanted to make this nonprofit to be that person, you know, that organization they can call with a group of people like-minded like myself, whatever skill you have, to help them help walk people through whatever goal they're trying to accomplish, you know. And it's such a grand thing, and it's kind of complicated to talk about. So I'm glad I'm being able to do this to get me used to trying to consolidate and talk about what I'm trying to do, because it's really a big thing. It's like I'm trying to build a conglomerate, a social network. Like they build these conglomerates with capitalism. I believe we can do the same thing with social work. I don't want to call it socialism because people cringe at that word, but just on the social service side of things. Giving information is free. And we can have, instead of having people on the corners selling dope, being dope dealers, we can be on those same corners being hope dealers, where we're in
Hope
the
dealers, a
community.
bar.
Yeah. Yeah, where we're out here present in the community, just like the drug dealers was present in the community, on every corner, in every other house or more, right? So we need to, it's like I feel like I'm rambling, so I'm sorry, but the best way I can explain it for people who are from where we're from, the streets, is to equate it to the crack cocaine game. That thing came, took over, and made a wave in one generation. And I believe we can reverse that in one generation using their same tactics, but putting different things in place, right? Like, so for instance, when people decided to sell crack cocaine or whatever, or use it, they didn't have $50,000 to start it. No one, they weren't chemists. They didn't know how to make it. Someone told them. And if they got it wrong, they showed them again. And if they got it wrong, they showed them again until they got that crack cocaine cooked up right and sold in the streets. So now it was nothing. And there was millionaires in these streets. I mean, you're old enough to remember. There were millionaires in these streets in the 80s and the 90s. There were 100,000aires in these streets in the 80s and 90s. So we know we can get to the money. So I'm saying so now how can we get to the money instead of drugs? We can use businesses, the businesses that's lacking, the businesses that was there before integration, right? But here's a dilemma. People don't have money. They don't have $50,000. They don't know how to run a business. But guess what? They didn't know how to sell drugs. They didn't have the capital for that. But what did they do? They gave it to them. They gave them the information for free on how to do it. They walked with them by having them on their team and building a team, and they work their way up from, how it goes in the street. So we can apply those same principles with Black-owned businesses, no matter what it may be, because we need everything from gas stations to hair stations gas stations to hair salons to mechanic shops to cell phone stores to grocery stores to banks to hospitals, all of that stuff. I mean, even down to mining gold. The sky is the limit. So we can apply that same concept, right? Finding the people who know how to do it. I don't know how to run a business. All I know is that I have this idea, and I need to find people who want to do this with me or know how to, even if they don't want to do it with me, who want to take this idea and implement it. Like, this is an idea I want you to steal. I want people with millions of dollars to steal this idea and make it happen. So what you do is just like the crack cocaine game. You don't need $50,000. I'm going to give you everything you need to start this business. As a nonprofit organization, that's what I want to do. Find funders, find people who want to donate. We get this one store. Let's say it's on south side of Richmond on Hall Street. One store that's just a basic poppy store, for us now, our store. And we teach people. So let's say you are a assistant manager at a Dollar General or a Food Line. You take that assistant manager, and you bring them in, because basically they're going to already know how to do certain things like run a store, so they're not really fresh from the ground up. They already have experience running a store or a grocery store, whatever it may be. They know how to manage. So you take them and you teach them this particular business, and they're not only running it as a manager, they're running it to also own it in the future, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of saying you need $100,000 to start a store, we're going to say, here's a store. Now you work with us through this program of ownership so that you can create a legacy for yourself, right? So the first year, just like the game, they're training, and you get your salary or your wages, or however it goes. And then the next phase of the program, which could be another year or 6 months, I don't know however the details are going to work out. The next year, you now start to earn money as an owner. And it's not like a pyramid scheme thing, not at all. This is 100% giving without expecting much in return, right? This is, let's say if I had $1 million, I'm going to invest $100,000 without, I don't know the details yet, because I don't know about all of this stuff about how a financer gets their money back, or versus people who just donate without expecting anything back. Me personally, I would rather have people who want to donate money to a good cause and don't expect anything back. Now, maybe they want to expect something back, and that can be worked out too, but I don't know how to do all that stuff. I figure I'll meet those people along the way as this idea is coming into fruition, right? But the concept is that they have the store and they work it. You get 70-30 profits. 70-30 you. Next year, 40-60. Next year, 50-50. Next year, 60-40 you. And you work your way up. So within like 5 to 6 years, whatever it's going to be, you now own this store at 99%, right? So now that you own the store, we're doing this with you, right? But in the meantime, you're paying it forward. Each person has to, each employee that's there, you're not just there stocking the shelves. You're not just there on the cash register. If you want to, you're also going to be learning the ins and outs of running this business on your own. And this business is just how to run a gas station, how to do inventory for a hair salon, how to run whatever, those things like that. There's no selling, there's no scheme. We just providing basic businesses that we need in our hood, gas stations, grocery stores, whatever. And we're teaching you how to do that. And then in return, you if you want to, because you can leave at any time. It's not like you have to stay as some indentured servant. But if you want to own, you can join the program of ownership and the next business is yours. And we have a goal for that one person. Let's say we start with you and you have a gas station. You're running that gas station. Now you're starting to get your 70, 30, 50, 50, 60, whatever. Every year, you're supposed to push out at least 2 more people where you're teaching them how to run a business, hands-on, no college, no nothing. We're teaching you because we all know we can learn anything if you keep doing it over and over, hands-on. So that cashier that's in there, that stock boy, the janitor, whoever, if you want to learn how to run this store, we're going to teach you that. After 6 months, you pass whatever exam or qualification test, we're funding like that store, right? We're not going to use the money to send our kids to college. Of course, the person who's managing it gets paid, but we're not going to use it to send our kids to college or pay our mortgage. We're going to use it to get another store. So anything that comes in, it's like 100% goes back to the community.
So the main objective is to bring prosperity to low-income neighborhoods.
Yes, and it has to be done in a way as 100% for it to be rapid, fast, like as fast as crack cocaine was. It can't be, well, you got to give us this. It has to be, we're going to give you this store. We're going to give you the knowledge. Now, once we give it to you, you turn that one store into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, 8 into 16. And each store is obligated to do at least 2 or more, 6 if we can, a year. And as you can see, we go from this side of Richmond to that side of Richmond, spilling into Petersburg, spilling into Hopewell, spilling into Tennessee, spilling into West Virginia, until we slowly just start to build our communities up, one store at a time, one brick at a time, using that same multi-level management networking idea, but on this side, where it's all love. Donations are coming in. The poorer people can donate $1 per week. Everybody got $1. We get 50,000 people to donate $1 a week. That's $50,000 a week that we can pour 100% back into this. So I'm not doing this to make money. Like, I have a job, right? I don't want to run the store. I just want to see Black stores here. So I want to get this started for whoever, Joe down the street, to run the store. And then he has this knowledge and he's teaching 2 people per year. And if he does this for 20 years, how many people is that? And then they're teaching 2 people per year for 20. You get the concept of what I'm saying?
I understand. So, it almost sounds like franchising.
Exactly, but it's not. But the only difference is, like, you don't have to have this startup fee. Like, the purpose is to do it out of love, right? And we want to see change in our community. And we're not going to see that change waiting for someone to give you $50,000. You're going to have to give them what they need and say, hey, you understand what I'm saying? Just like they did crack cocaine. No one was waiting for a $50,000 check until after they start popping and build up their clientele to get those things sold, So I'm just trying to apply the same thing. I just feel like trying to make people go to school for business, save enough money to open their stores, it's going to take us forever. But if we just get some good hearts to donate, and we who are doing the work don't need a profit, at first, of course, let's get these stores popping and then we'll see what profits look like. But if we can operate out of love, where you're working your regular job or whatever you're working, and then or not even saying let's say I'm working in a store, then I would be the manager of that store, so I would get it. But me as a nonprofit person, I don't want that. I made a promise to the higher powers, to God, I'm gonna say, because I worship God, but I don't know everybody else. But I made a promise to God that I am not doing this to get rich. I'm perfectly fine off my $50,000 salary every year. I mean, I'm not a materialistic person, as you can see. I'm not flashy. I'm fine with having little to nothing. But that's just me living my life. Now, someone had to talk me out of it. You're not fine living like that. You need millions of dollars. You need people to give you millions of dollars because you need to. Oh, we about to end in 10 minutes. I'm sorry. It only gives us an hour. So you need to think that you do need money. Stop thinking that you don't need this. You're fine with 50,000. I need millions. I need billions because the people need it, not me. Sorry, I know I'm going on.
No, you good. You took control. That's what I like. You actually answered a lot of the questions that I already that I was gonna ask you. So you actually answered those and you did a wonderful job. So I want to ask you, because I ask everybody this on every show. What drives you? What motivates you? And I know you kind of touched on that as you were speaking, but I want to actually hear you say, like, what motivates you, what drives you, what keeps you pushing. Like when you wake up in the morning, what drives you?
Well, I just appreciate life, first of all, like the fact that life is great. Like, I mean, I don't have any ailments, I'm not in pain, I'm not in fear for my life. So just being able to wake up every day is just a blessing. But just knowing that there needs to be a change in our community and knowing that we're getting further and further away from slavery. So we can't keep using that. So we are the generation that have the know-how and the boldness to do something about it. So we can't go another 50 years and look back and still talk about slavery with people like me and you right now talking on things like this technology we have right now, and we can't come up with a way to fix our community. Like, it's going to be unacceptable if we're 80 and we're still having this conversation. Mm-hmm. So that's what's driving me to fix it. And I feel like I can. And if I can get the right people in place who have influence, this can make a wave just like that 85 era made a wave.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing, how did you come up with Life 101? Like how did you come up with that name for your organization?
Well, I first was calling myself the Talented 10th, with the concept that we need to reach back and help each other. But then I found out that Langston Hughes was not exactly aligned with all of my beliefs. I mean, not Langston, I'm sorry, W.E.B. Du Bois. I've learned that he wasn't exactly aligned with my beliefs. So I had to find another name. And I have a Facebook friend who's an elderly gentleman who was actually in prison in Arizona. He's very, very wise. And he wanted to start a nonprofit as well. So I told him, like, well, hey, I'm looking for a new name, looking for new everything. So he was gracious enough to let me adopt all of his idea. And this was his baby as far as his logo and because it's the same thing. We want to do the same thing. So he let me jumpstart it. I told him when he comes out, because he gets out in like 2 years, I'm here and I can tell you everything you need to do for your state and we can work together. So that's how I got Life 101. Yeah.
Okay. So what's next for you? What other ventures you have? Because I see you on social media. I see y'all growing food, cleaning up places. Like, so what's next for you?
So right now I'm really just trying to figure out, like, what should I do next? Like, so I'm thinking I really want to focus more on the youth. And if we can get this youth starting from 18 down and just kind of get them on track, by 20, 40 years, they'll be the adults. So I'm not going to focus too much on the adults as much. I really want to focus on the kids, get inside the Richmond public schools or all public schools, just like the DARE program was. The DARE program was there. We all know about that DARE program. If we can get here and get this program in there, like the DARE program, teach them how to manifest, teach them that they're not slaves, teach them that they are scientists, they are gold miners, teach them that they can mine gold. You may not know how to mine gold, but if that's your destiny, that's your destiny, but your dream, manifest that. And you'll be surprised how you'll all of a sudden run into someone who mines gold. So I want to teach our children how to do things like that and how to make better choices and to have hope and to know that life is more than just this poverty that you're experiencing right now. So, and I feel like to do that in mass is to get to the Richmond public school systems. So that's my next goal, is to try to get into there. And also I'm going to contact the courts. I was supposed to been do this. And as far as volunteer to get people who have to do mandatory community service, to get them to come in and help, like, pick up some of the litter. Maybe we can start repairing some elderly people's homes, things like that, because there's programs out here that teach people stuff like that. So it's a lot of things I want to do. This little time we have here can't even really go into everything, especially as long as I talk on one subject.
Oh no, you're doing such a wonderful job. So before we wrap it up, your social medias, your website, and hold up, because we got 5 more minutes. What advice do you have for an up and coming entrepreneur right now who's struggling? Or what advice do you have for a young sister or a young brother that's going through hell right now?
Really, and I can't stress this enough. Get a journal, write it down. Write down what you want. Don't write about the bad stuff. Don't even talk about it. I'm sorry, not don't talk about it. Don't write that in your journal. Write down what you want your life to be in the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. Think about it every day. Picture it. It's just like you're watching a movie. Picture what are the smells you smell? What are you wearing? Picture yourself with the grays in your hair as you're getting older. All of that. Manifest your life. Sadness is going to continue to reign if you let it. So eliminate that doubt, no matter how hard it is. Picture what you want to do and believe you can do it. Write it down and then work towards it. You have to move your feet. You can't just sit there and self-loathe. But yeah, and never give up.
All right. I'm gonna let y'all know we're gonna most definitely do a part 2 to this. We got to do a part 2 to this. I didn't expect this to run so fast.